Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm videodiary. I should see what's going on on a lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be talking about whatever. I don't really know, nothing in particular. To be honest, yesterday we ended up talking about Chicory for the entire episode, which is fair enough because then I finished recording Chicory for that day. But it meant I couldn't talk about other things which had happened over the weekend, which is not really all that much. I'm going to be honest, not really all that much happened over the weekend, from what I can say. I played a bit more We Were Here Forever with my friend. We're actually very near the end, I think. I think we're on the last chapter, the penultimate chapter. I don't really know, but I'm not going to give any spoilers apart from that until I finish playing it. So, hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 4:17 PM on Tuesday, June 14th, 2022. I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, having a lovely time. I've talked about it before. I love the cooperative sort of puzzle games that We Were Here, that sort of niche it fulfills. It's not a very common niche, it seems. I suppose it's because you kind of had to design two sort of separate games. There was only so many things you can do with one other co-op partner, and that sort of like the framework of having to communicate back and forth between each other to solve puzzles or whatnot. There's only so many things you can do, probably, is my guess. So that's probably why it's not as popular. But yeah, I'll talk about that more when we actually finish it, which I'm going to assume will be this weekend, so probably next week at some point. I don't really know. What should I talk about today? What else can I talk about? I know it's getting quite warm nowadays, so I've officially now probably switched over to more of my summer wear. Wearing a nice sort of flowy dress rather than a summer dress, rather than I guess more of a Moo, I suppose. More rather than my sweater dress. And I usually not usually, but I was wearing in spring and autumn, even though it might not reflect it so much in that Animal Crossing today. It's getting quite warm today, in UK. And it's a sort of warm enough weather where I crack the window open a little bit just to get some sort of fresh air in. And you might be like, doesn't that sort of warm up your room most of the time or something? Not really, because the air outside tends to be colder. Not all the time. It depends how hot it is outside, but it's where it's hot enough that, because if you don't know, in the UK, houses tend to be very well insulated. Very often we have double glazed windows, and houses are made of bricks instead of I forget what the material is called in America or whatever, but basically houses are all designed with the idea of trying to keep heat in, because in the winter it can get kind of cold, especially with the high moisture or something in the air in the UK. It makes things feel colder than it actually might necessarily feel compared to places which have much drier atmospheres or something, but colder weathers. That's something I learned ages ago. I don't also remember if it's true, by the way, but I believe it's true. Something like the more moisture in the air raises the specific heat capacity, I think. So it sort of like takes out more energy from your skin when it make contact with the air or something. And I can't really remember. Something like that specific heat capacity requires more energy to change temperature, right? So that's why even smaller degrees in temperature changes results in more energy loss if the specific heat capacity is higher, something like that. I can't remember. Been a real long time since I've done thermodynamics, but that sort of thing's still stuck in my head. But the outside often generally tends to be cooler. Like the room I'm in where I'm recording all this stuff, well, I mean, it's just my bedroom, but obviously my computer's on, which does, computers are kind of like a radiator, they create their heat and they like push it out, being like, oh, like try and best for this computer to not overheat and keep things cool. And by the way, I haven't actually cleaned. I should probably clean my computer at some point as well. I don't know how dusty it's in there. I do have a Perspex like glass paneling on the side, which, by the way, I'm not like all that. I don't really care all too much about that. I know it's very popular for people to have like a glass Perspex on the side, so they can put like LED lights inside their computer, make it like all shiny and stuff. You might think I'm all about that sort of thing, and if you do it, I'd be like, oh, that's fancy. But for my own thing, I don't really care all that much. In fact, the only thing I really use this sort of Perspex glass thing for is more like a mirror to check myself and just be like, how does that look, instead of having to walk over to my mirror, which is all the way on the other side of my room. Oh, for travesty. But yeah, basically outside generally is cold, and you might be like, oh, is your window open right now? For those of you who've been around a long time, you hear me when I record videos in summer, you might be like, oh, it's going to crack open the window a little bit or close it, etc, etc. No, normally I try and close the window when I'm recording, mainly so people outside can't like hear my random musings and ramblings and take them out of context and be like, what is going on? But also because it's kind of noisy outside a lot of time. You know, there will be wind, sometimes insects come in. I don't really have much of a problem with insects, but you know, trying to deal with it while I'm recording at the same time, you know, focus on one thing at a time. And luckily we're not at the stage where it's going to get super hot yet. That's much more like late July and August sort of problem. We're still halfway through June, which is actually crazy. We're nearly halfway through this entire year. Can you believe it? That feels unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, it's always a very weird balance of trying to find the optimal temperature while also, you know, because it's a thing in other countries. I think it's a thing in America, but perhaps it's more dependent where you live. And I imagine up in Minnesota they probably don't do it, but maybe down in like the southern states it might be a lot more common. But certainly it was a thing in China. Is that they often have like screens on your windows, right, to prevent any sort of like unwanted bugs or insects coming in when you open the window, because you want to open the window, you're like, oh, get all that fresh air or not fresh air depending on, I suppose, where you live, but at least the cooler air outside into your window, without having like, you know, mosquitoes come in, because mosquitoes are quite common in certain parts of those countries, of course. I mean, I don't really know if they exist much in UK. I kind of assume they do, but in small numbers, or maybe they don't at all. Mosquitoes, UK. There are more than 30 native mosquito species in UK. Fair enough. Some of which bite, and others which just are a general nuisance and do not carry any disease. Well, there you go. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I don't often get bitten by mosquitoes in the first place, to be honest. It's because they're very common in China. And honestly, when we used to go as a family and take holidays there and that sort of thing, it was very surprising how other members of my family basically got constantly bitten, so that they would need like mosquito creams and mosquito sprays to keep things away, and I could like not do anything and I'd get like 1 or 2 bites over the entire holiday. I don't know why. And I've got to assume it's some sort of biological response of like something which makes my blood more unappetizing to mosquitoes or something. Maybe it's something to do with a chemical. Such a horrific way I was about to say it. I was like, the chemicals I excrete from my body is like, okay. I just mean like sweat, you know, it carries things like chemical messengers and what have you, and I'm sure mosquitoes pick up on the scents, and they've probably got some evolution adaptation thing to be like, oh, this blood is the one that we want to feed our young with, and this one isn't. I don't really know. I don't know all that much about mosquitoes, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I must say. The inside of this sandwich is a bit annoying because it's got like a sort of ridge thing. And it's elastic, but it's very scratchy for no apparent reason. I don't know why. I don't really know what to do about that. I suppose maybe I could like hike it up like this and prevent it scratching from against my skin. So hold on. But yeah, I often don't get bitten by mosquitoes in the first place. I am my own inherent nature mosquito repellent, which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because I don't know really what mosquitoes find tasty per se. So why don't we Google it? Let's have a bit of a learning experience here. What causes mosquitoes to bite more or less? I don't know. Why mosquitoes bite some people more than others? Here you go. Sure, I'll accept your cookies. I'm in incognito mode anyway. So, what attracts certain mosquitoes to certain people? Carbon dioxide. Alright. Mosquitoes can detect changes in carbon dioxide in their environment. I guess that's kind of cool. Oh, so this is a summer. No, wait, hold on, we're in summer. I was going to be like, this is a summer island, there's a shark there, but I just realised it's June. I think sharks spawn now anyway. An increase in carbon dioxide can alert a mosquito that a potential host is nearby. So potentially, maybe I don't know, breathe out less carbon dioxide than the average person. I can't imagine that's even necessarily true. Body odour, makes sense. Human skin and sweat, as I said. Several different compounds are being attracted to mosquitoes. Some of you may be familiar with lactic acid and ammonia. Okay. So what causes those variations in body odour? People don't know. Skin bacteria? Mosquitoes are highly attracted to odours from the hands of identical twins. What? What a very specific study for this person to be studying, but you know, they got results, so what can I say? I mean, you always get results from study, don't you? There's that thing in academia where it's biased towards getting positive results because it's more interesting and actually gets funding rather than like negative results, isn't it? Bit of shame that's how it's set up, but honestly I'm not well versed enough to really propose much of a way and a solution to that. 2011 study found out people with high diversity of microbes on their skin were less attracted to mosquitoes. So I have I shouldn't say I do. I possibly have a high diversity of microbes on my skin, which I don't really know how I facilitated that, if I have, but I don't know. But some people highly important specific species of bacteria. Okay, it doesn't tell me what sorts of bacteria, so I don't really know. Colours. Regardless, if you're wearing black or darker colours, you may be more attracted to mosquitoes. So I assume that applies to the skin tone as well. That's interesting. Research has shown that mosquitoes are attracted to a colour black, but little is known about why. Huh. Just some sort of evolutionary trait. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Is it because mosquitoes tend to be in hotter countries where people with darker skin tones tend to be, or something? That's like an evolutionary thing? I don't really know. Heat and water vapour. Bodies generate heat, but water vapour close to our skin can vary. It can detect it. One study finds that mosquitoes move towards nearby heat sources at our desired temperature. That's so vague, I guess. I mean, that's kind of like the definition of a desired temperature, isn't it? It's one by one. I mean, I tend to have quite dry skin, so I wonder if that's a thing. I mean, this paragraph says things about water vapour, but it doesn't say actually anything about what mosquitoes like in water vapour. It just says water vapour could be different for your bodies, and maybe that affects mosquitoes. Learning. Sensory cues are such a certain sense. Interesting. 20% of hosts accounted for 80% of disease is transmissible. What's going on? Alcohol? We need to do exercises, fruit, chop wood, and talk to people. Okay. Alcohol consumption. People who consume beer were more attracted to mosquitoes than people who are not. Fair enough. Mosquitoes have an interesting taste. They're beer drinkers instead of, you know, being wine drinkers. And you might be like, they're not mutually exclusive, and you're right, they're not. I just, you know, didn't really have much of a punchline in the way of that joke. Well, I didn't drink beer, so, you know, perhaps that's much in the way of mosquitoes being like, ugh, this taste is not to our liking. I guess a mosquito wouldn't sound like that. This taste is not to our liking. I don't know what this is. Mosquitoes, pregnant women are more attractive than a non-pregnant woman. Well, I'm not pregnant, so I suppose, you know, fair enough. I'm surprised it's nothing to do with blood type. I would have thought it would be like something like actual components in my blood as well. Because I do get bitten, but but my bites tend to be a lot smaller and less severe than, you know, of my equivalent family members. What a weird way to phrase that. Of my family members as well. So, you know, I always got the impression that when the mosquitoes would be like, ooh, tasty snack, bite, and we went, ugh, this is like, I don't know, this blood is so bitter or something. I don't like this. And maybe just like fly to someone else in my family to bite them instead. I don't know if that's actually true or not. Keep mosquitoes out of your house. That's one of the suggestions to stop mosquitoes. Is that like a mojito plus mosquito? Ooh, I don't really know what to think about that. Oh, that could be like a Bloody Mary combined with mojito. They should call it a mosquito. Because it's like, you know, you're drinking blood, quote, quote, but you're not actually drinking blood. And it's combined with a mojito. I don't even know what that tastes like. I'll probably be very weird. 7 reasons mosquitoes bite some people more than others. I'm about to get clickbaited. Apparel. Blood type. Oh, here we go. Mosquitoes find some blood types more desirable than others. For example, this mosquito favours type O, while this favours type AB. I don't actually know what my blood type is. It's never come up. It's not written in my that book. You know, when you're like born in the UK, the parents get like this the baby records, and I forget what it's called, where you're meant to like track the first 2 years of your life. It's meant to help track like certain things and development and like vaccinations that you get or whatnot. My blood type's not in there for some reason. I've also never donated blood, but I do want to donate blood at some point. So maybe I should do that. There was actually like ages, I think it was years ago, talking about my friends about doing it, but I didn't do it at that time. But there was like an organised blood drive near us. It's because I also had a hospital appointment that same day, and I didn't want to go to a hospital appointment and find out, you know, oh, something happening. No, my hospital appointment was after when the blood drive would have been, so I didn't want to go to a hospital appointment and be like, oh, you know, probably shouldn't have donated blood that day, which I think is fair enough, but, you know, ended up being not an issue, so, you know, with the power of hindsight, I could have donated blood that day. Nowadays, I wonder if it's harder to donate blood because of the whole pandemic situation. I don't know. Anyway, that's something just to note in the back of my head. Should be something it's something I've always wanted to do, but you know, I've just never really gotten around to doing it, to be honest. But it could be fun. I suppose from then I'd find out my blood type. Certainly, all I know is that my parents are A and B respectively. I don't know who's who, which is which or whatever. So, you know, bust out your Punnett squares. You can do a bit of math of what I could be. I think that depends, like, what type of ale. Like, hold on. How do blood types work? It's like the antigens or something, right? Like, if you're O, you got A and B antigens. No, antibodies in your blood, but the A and B antigens on... wait, are or are not on your blood cell? Are not on your blood cell, I think. I can't really remember. It's something like that. Heat and sweat. Lively skin. And bacteria. So it's basically the same thing. Pregnancy, beer, summary. Blood type is interesting. I didn't know blood type affected mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, blood type. Even more reason for me to find out my blood type for really no apparent reason at all. I mean, that's a kind of a point. Like, the only reason you do it is for, one, I suppose, for medical emergencies. Which is actually a pretty important reason. Probably should be the reason that you should know your blood type. So at least, you know, you can put it on your phone. You know, you got those, like, emergency, in case of emergency section on your phone, you can open it up, and then, like, paramedics, if they have to, you know, give you a blood transfusion, then are like, oh, what blood type is this person? You know, we have to give them O negative, I suppose, because that's a universal donator, but O negative blood is in short supply or whatever. I don't actually know if it's in short supply. O positive is the most common type of blood type. It's like 70% or something of the world. Or maybe that's O in general. And I know ABs, those ones tend to be the least common. I don't know why. I just had a flashback. Whew. Sent me back to year 6 when we were doing our year 6 school leaving play, and I was having a conversation about blood type with my friends, and then, like, the teacher like was just wondering, and I just called out to the teacher like, hey miss, not gonna say her name, hey miss, what blood type are you? And then she just went, oh no, I asked her, well, what determines a positive and negative in blood types? Because I think about, we might have recently learnt about the difference between O, A, B and AB, and you know, I forget which way around it is. One of it, it's got the antigens on the blood cell and doesn't have the respective ones in the antibodies in the bloodstream, and the others are, like, inverted. I think it determines what antigens are on the blood cell itself, but don't quote me on that. And then I remember asking the teacher, being like, but I know there's, like, positive and negative. I was like, what determines a positive and negative of the blood cells? She actually knew the answer, which was surprising. Wait, hold on, that sounds very, like, disparaging. I don't do me like that, because I don't think she was a biologist or anything. She just, you know, very quickly gave the answer. It was like, it's the presence of something in blood, RH or something in the blood. And I always think about that, because she looked very, like, sort of pleased with herself. It's sort of, you know, it gave me the impression that it was like, oh, this is a fact she learned recently. She was, like, happy to put it to use, or you know, something where it's a situation, be like, finally one of these kids asked me about something I know about. Anyway, I remember my teacher was O positive. And O positive blood type. I don't know why that's something which is taking up, like, my memory in my brain, but, you know, you've heard all my random stories. There are many random things which for some reason just end up in my brain. There you go, my year 6 teacher, she's got O positive blood. So, if, you know, I don't know, she, I don't think, like, she needs a blood transfusion quickly, but she can't respond or something, and I'm also on the scene, I can be like, I know your blood type, probably. I mean, I don't think you'd probably take that risk if I didn't, because I think trusting my year 11 memory, no, 11-year-old memory, so not year 11 memory, that's like a 4-year difference or something. My 11-year-old memory over, you know, just, you know, playing it safe and actually giving her universal donor sort of blood. I think the universal donor sort of blood might be more safe. But anyway, it would be nice to find out if I had, like, a universal blood type to donate to, because then, you know, I'd be like, oh, you know, I'll donate more often, so, you know, it feels nice in that sort of way. What if I just look this up? Let's see, hold on. Donate blood, and then where I live. That's not how I spell where I live, but there's a blood donation centre. Donation venues. Let's see. Which of these is closest to where I live? Not really any of these. It's a bit vague. Find your location. Oh, here we go. Just put my postcode. Don't mind me. Get a search. Oh Hey, that's not too far away, actually. And I have made a... Oh, I had to do this later. Okay, you know what? Do that another time. This ain't the time to do so. But it would be cool to do that at some point. If I'm even eligible to donate blood, I don't know if I am. But, you know, I haven't really travelled all that recently, which I know is one thing. But yeah, anyway, mosquitoes don't tend to bite me. I don't really tend to notice much mosquitoes in the UK. I know they're certainly a rather big pest for those of you living in, you know, much warmer countries. For some reason, though, mosquitoes were actually quite a significant part, I feel like, of our GCSE biology, like, curriculum. I'm not entirely sure why. I guess it was just sort of like, it's one of the more accessible, like, parasites to learn about. Their cycle and, like, the influence of, like, things like malaria. I guess a lot of topics can come from it. I don't know why I wouldn't here, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't really remember much about it, but I do remember we had to learn it. You know, it starts as an egg, which hatches, I think, in the bloodstream. That doesn't matter. No, that doesn't sound right. Does it? Maybe that is right. All I remember with malaria is, like, it comes in waves or something. Like, the actual disease itself, it gets into cells or something, and, like, lays a little bit dormant, and then they suddenly, like, all burst, causing infection or whatever have you. So if you ever get ill and, like, waves up and down, there's and you've been to a place where there is malaria or something, there's a bit of a worry that you could get malaria. But I know there's, like, medicine for it now, and I wonder how much technology or medication, I suppose, has evolved for treating things in malaria. Yeah, I don't really know much about it, to be perfectly honest. Even though for some reason, I'm not going to say, sorry, not for some reason, like, obviously it's quite an important thing, I think, to know about, especially because it's obviously affects a lot of people in real life. But it was a bit surprising, like, that specifically was about took up so much of a GCSE biology curriculum we did. I guess it's more like it was like a case study, I suppose, of like not an epidemic. I mean, is it an epidemic? I don't really know what the definition of an epidemic specifically is, so it may or may not be. Let's do radio exercises in the rain. Perfect time to be doing them. But yeah. Mosquitoes, I suppose. What else about mosquitoes? I suppose they make very annoying noises. You know, I guess I certainly don't miss out too much when I, for my trips to China, etc., or, you know, any sort of country where the mosquitoes are much more prevalent. But, you know, I can kind of sleep for anything, to be honest. Like, not inherent noises, but, like, background noises don't really bother me all that much. They sort of just exist in the background for me, and I just sort of... It's not like I don't really pay much attention to them, but I tend to be quite a heavy sleeper when it comes to these sort of things. I know, I don't think I've ever, like, felt a mosquito bite me either. And I certainly do see that as a good thing. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, I'm FOMO, I'm missing out on that sort of thing. Or, obviously, this is a good thing, right? I don't have to deal with mosquitoes in the first place. But it's just sort of like a strange thing, you know? It's like, in the same way, I've never been, not bitten by a bee. I've never been stung by a bee. Or a wasp, for that matter. I have been stung by a mosquito, but it's never been all that bad. For whatever reason, my blood is very undesirable to them. Which, you know, offends me a little bit, but not enough. I think it's a worthy trade. I don't know, people get, like, mosquito, like, lamps and that sort of thing. I don't know. I wonder how well the mosquito lamps actually work. Because if mosquitoes are, like, attracted to, like, black clothing and things like that, but kind of black for some reason, you would have thought that light would not be the sort of thing that attracts them. But I assume a lot of insects are attracted to light in the first place. Like, I remember, and like the biggest nuisance you have as really a pest in the UK is wasps, in my opinion, because they're the ones which can actually, you know, harm you, and not like scar you for life or anything, but they are very annoying, and they're just kind of like insanely aggressive, not for no reason, but, you know, compared to bees, who tend to be pretty chill a lot of the time, wasps are annoyingly, like, mad for no apparent reason. But wasps, I know, they can be attracted to light as well, which is like, if you want to... this happened once, like, a wasp got into my room, like, when I went to sleep, and I don't like dealing with wasps because I don't want to get stung, obviously. They're not like spiders. Spiders, they're so docile, you can easily pick them up. Like, if you don't pick them up with your hands, you can easily scoop them up with a piece of paper and they just go, whoa, and they sort of, like, run, like, crazy, and in that time you sort of, like, lure them over, not lure them over, but you can just like take them over to a window and like shake them off. Because they're so light, they aren't injured from the height that they fall at, I believe. I think that's the case on most insects. Because of like air resistance or something ratio with a mass, but that's not the point. I forgot what I was saying. And like moths also really like fine creatures, because moths just are like extremely skitterish. They aren't like dangerous or like I don't feel like I'm going to be attacked by a moth. They just sort of just go like, whoa, what's going on? Which is totally fine. It's very easy to sort of like capture them in like a plastic bag or something. It's not plastic bag, like a box or something. And you might be like, what do you use? I use like an old ink pot. And I capture insects and that sort of thing, and I just let them go. Moths are by far and away one of the best ones to deal with, because, well, they're kind of flighty, but they often like stay still for long periods of time, which in case you just go pop, you put like the pot on top, and then they go, what's going on? And they fly up into the pot, and then you put like a lid on or paper on, you just walk out to the door and you go whoosh, and they go like, woo, I'm free, and they immediately fly away. Wasps are just annoying though. They're so aggressive as soon as they go in, but just like, what's going on? And they just like continuously ram against everything. Nothing can stop them. Like, I'm opening a window being like, go that way, outside, you're not going to live in here, there's nothing for you to really sustain yourself upon. Please. At least the bees, they sort of just like, you know, casually like walk about and that sort of thing. Wasps just, we just have it out for everything. So that happened once at night, and I was like, oh, I can't bother to deal with this. So what I did was like, I turned a light on in a different room. I guess we should probably help you, huh? Turned on a light in a different room, opened my door, and turned off all the other lights, and the wasp eventually got out and, you know, into the corridor, and I just like cracked a window open, turned off the lights in a different room, trapped it in that room, and then, you know, it was gone the next day, or it died, I suppose, which is another possibility, but I like to think it found its way out, because, you know, it's sort of a street lights outside the window and eventually, you know, flew out. At least I think that's what it did. I don't really remember what happened to it. It was ages ago. So, who knows? Anyway, wasps, most annoying insect to get trapped inside your house. Best? It's either spider or moths. they're the easiest one to deal with, because both of them are flighty enough to actually like move on to whatever you like hold out as a sort of platform for them. Like spiders will very easily crawl onto a piece of paper, and moths will very easily fly into like a bottle or what have you. Crane flies, like daddy longlegs, they're just too big. They're just too big. Like, I don't have boxes big enough often to capture them. So you can sort of like scoop them up with your hands, but their legs are so delicate, and I always get very worried I'm going to damage them. Bees are kind of annoying, they're kind of like more panicky, but once they calm down, you know, they fly into the window, you open the window, and you sort of shoo them downwards, and they sort of get the hang of it, and they just like fly out. Wasps, by far and away the worst. That's my rating. I don't know how we... Oh, I don't know about mosquitoes though. You know, I forgot that's what I was talking about. I was like talking about like corralling mosquitoes or something. I never really had to do that. I'd imagine mosquitoes are the worst for us, because they actively don't want to leave. Because well, I guess like, you know, wasps and I was going to say rabbits. What's wrong with me? Bees, they like could sustain themselves, I suppose, inside, or using of like human food and like sugar and whatnot. They kind of want to go back to their hives, right? But mosquitoes actively want, you know, like, eat your blood. To drink your blood. Drink your blood. Right, so they actively don't want to leave your house, so they probably will sort of resist leaving your domicile in the first place. Which makes them quite stubborn, probably. And they're very small. And very, you know, they never tend to stop and land on anything except for on your skin. I don't really know. You can tell I'm not very well versed in mosquitoes in the first place. In fact, I don't really run into them very often. They don't run into me. Anyway, mosquito bites can be quite itchy, I suppose. I believe it's recommended not to itch them. That's all my advice I've really got for you. I suppose if you live in a mosquito-heavy area, maybe it'd be worth putting on like a lamp. I wonder, you meant to put like with mosquito lights outside? Because I know there's ones which like zap things when they get too close to it, which I always feel like, you know, that seems a bit sad. But, you know, I understand the need for it in the first place. Surely you could just have like a bright light outside, so like any which go inside would sort of like come out the window. But I guess that would also probably attract more mosquitoes to your domicile in the first place, would increase the likelihood of them accidentally flying into the window. I don't really know. I'm not well versed with mosquitoes. You follow whatever guidelines people who are more knowledgeable about mosquitoes talk to you about. And I guess it's just, you know, I don't have any more advice. Apologies if you like live in Australia and you had to deal with like, I don't know, huntsman spiders and scorpions and snakes and that sort of thing, because I legitimately don't know what I do to sort of deal with that sort of thing. To be perfectly honest, I guess I pick them up, but then a lot of them are kind of like venomous, so I'm like, oh, that seems a bit dangerous. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Mosquitoes. For whatever reason, they don't tend to bite me, because my blood is not desirable to them. But we're going to round off this episode here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares, I greatly appreciate it. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. I don't know why I'm not facing the camera. Let's do it again. Bye-bye for now.